Hey, welcome back to Troll Time with the Troll King. My name is Ivan Curtis. Remember, you can follow me on Facebook at Ivan D. Curtis. Uh, Talk about everything from sports, movies, anything like that. But the current topic that we're on is the WNBA and the WNBA playoffs. A few topics we're going to be talking about today with my right hand man, A. Willie. We'll be going over the player awards, and then we'll be getting into those game ones that took place on Sunday. Bringing in my guy right now. Hey, Willie, what's going on with you?
Man, what's good? We got a lot to talk about with these games. It's great because everybody else is talking about them also, but we bring that original heat drop technology all on tracks. And once again, it's on.
All right, just hopping right into it. We'll talk about something that we mentioned in episode one, the MVP and the Rookie of the Year. Of course, the MVP went to Asia Wilson, which is unanimous. I think that's the first time it happened since Cynthia Cooper, back when she won MVP. And then Caitlin Clark won Rookie of the Year. I'm sure we don't have any disagreements or not too many things to speak on about that, but just some quick thoughts. Hey, Willie.
It's one thing we always talk about how when people are maximizing their talents, and we look at the talent itself, but we also don't look at the situations. And when we look at what's going on in Vegas, obviously Asia Wilson is a culture setter. Asia Wilson is a great player. But that culture, the way that they play, Becky Hammond as the coach really resonates with how Asia plays. So situations matter. Same with Caitlin Clark. Obviously, any team that she went to was going to feature her, but she was tailor made to go to Indiana. They obviously had a need for a point guard facilitator and somebody that can score. And culturally, her going from Iowa to Indiana was a great, great fit. It's a lot of home games, easy for Iowa people to get to her.
No, no question, no question. And Caitlin Clark also finished in the MVP voting as well, along with, of course, Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, and I believe Alyssa Thomas rounded it out, if I'm not mistaken. Hopping into the Defensive Player of the Year, which kind of surprised me a little. Not, it's a surprise, but not really a surprise. Nafisa Collier took that award home. I think they just didn't want Asia to rack up all the awards. But she also countered that award with the Coach of the Year award with Cheryl Reeves. Um, not too bad. That's something that we predicted. If you followed us in episode one, we talked about Cheryl Reeves being the top coach. But your thoughts on Nafisa Collier taking home the Defensive Player of the Year and Cheryl Reeves taking home Coach of the Year?
It's funny, no surprise about Coach Reeve, especially given the fact that what she's done building this team as a GM, really rebuilding on the fly. I'll say this: we talked about this, like you said in the first episode, and I mentioned Nafisa Collier being number one in defensive rating in the W. So I think, to your point, maybe they didn't want Asia to win all the awards, but at the same time, it's not as if Nafisa comes without warrant. Also, top defensive player on the ball as well as positionally. So if you watch the games and you watch intently, you'll see all that, man. So good for Nafisa. I certainly see what you're saying too about Asia getting all the awards again with her. She plays great defensive from a positional standpoint, but she also blocks shots. But Nafisa's up there in steals, so is Asia. So this was one where you're splitting hairs a little bit, but I'm not mad at Nafisa at all, man.
No, I'm gonna keep the spotlight on you for a second. To go with the other awards, Skylar Diggins Smith took the comeback player of the year award, and then Derek Hamby got most improved. Just your two thoughts on those women, which is I don't have no disagreements with those winners at all.
It's funny because to your point, I don't have any disagreement about it at all. I think it's great for the league when you have multiple people that are in the running for these awards because it creates that discourse where you can have disagreements and people can come with their opinions and they're valid. Whether that was Kennedy Carter, who I mentioned, whether that was Tiffany Hayes, also too coming from being on her couch retired to doing what she's doing. I mean, it's a lot of things that you can talk about as it relates to storylines and players doing amazing things, especially when you look at De'Erica Hamby and you look at Skylar Diggins Smith. This is something that we can't relate to. They are women, they are mothers that are doing this, and they came back and had that incredible impact, respectively, both of them. So, no beef for me. This is good. I like it.
No, I agree. And just to put some numbers with that, Skylar Diggins is currently averaging around 15 points and 6.4 assists for the Storm. And Derica Hamby, at the beginning of the season, I'd like to say she was putting up MVP like numbers.
De'Erica
Uh,
Hamby was.
yeah, she was almost averaging 20 and 10 for a short stint. Just unfortunate that, the Sparks couldn't get it together as a unit due to a multitude of things. But she finished averaging 17.3 points and 8.4 rebounds. I think, we talked about Dejanay Carrington. She just got edged by Hamby for most improved, which is we mentioned that too as well. To round out the awards, we got the All Rookie team, which of course you're gonna have Caitlin Clark on there, Angel Reese, uh, Rakia Jackson, Leona Fibers, and Camilla Cardoso to round out the five, which is that's kind of expected to me. I think aside from them, you got a few rookies that played really well, but those were probably the top five rookies. Your thoughts?
Those, when we're talking about Caitlin, Angel, and Camilla, yeah, those were easy because, and Rakia too, because you knew that they were going to get the reps. And Rakia was like a slow burn. She started as the years started to really progress. She started to get more comfortable and get in her bag offensively and defensively as well. I really, really want to call out Leona Phoebus. I really want to call her out because it's one thing to be in that conversation where you're going to get all the reps and maybe there's not as much of a pressure cooker because your team may not be as concerned about wins or losses because you are really trying to get those reps. But for her to do what she's done on a championship caliber team, a team that was in the finals last year, a team that is chasing that ring, that is very, very, very impressive because oftentimes the number one priority of the franchise isn't to develop you as a rookie, it's to win a championship. And is if your development can be a part of that, then that's great. So it's up to you, and the onus is on you as a player to find where you can, in the words of Too Short, get in where you fit in. And she did a great job of doing that this year.
Nah, no question. And she's averaging, her numbers, like you said, don't blow through the roof or anything like that. But what she does for a contending team speaks volume. And I like the fact that she's a 6'4" wing to play right along with Brianna Stewart and Jonquel Jones that I think makes them a formidable front court for the play and for the Liberty in the playoffs. So just 6.7 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. But as you saw, we'll get into this in the recap. But as you saw what she did on Sunday, she proved that she can do a lot more. But she's playing her role to the fullest. Now to get to the All WNBA team, of course, you got Asia Wilson, you got Brianna Stewart, you got Collier, and you got Alyssa Thomas, and that I wouldn't disagree with it at all. I think that you got most of the players that makes our WNBA team. Typically, their team is at the cream of the crop. They're the
Right,
top.
right,
I think
right.
Caitlin Clark has proved what she means to the Liberty and what she means to the league, and very valuable in all facets of the game. Alyssa Thomas, she playoff time, boom, she drops a triple double, and she's been a dynamic player, even for some years, and even last year, she had a strong case for being an MVP. Brianna Stewart is quietly, has put together another outstanding season. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it because for them it's kind of championship or bust. Like I mean,
Right.
and when you're in that type of situation, you're not nobody's going to always be kicking and screaming and hollering your name. And then of course, Asia Wilson was just dominant throughout the season. But Nafisa Collier, you know, what a game on Sunday. She played really well. And matter of fact, we're gonna go ahead and just hop into to that part after you give me your thoughts on the all WNBA team.
To me, to your point, it wasn't much of a debate for that five. Because again, when you measure their impact on the team, and like you said, these players are playing at the top of their respective games, which puts their teams in the conversation amongst the best in the league. It really wasn't a lot of debate for that top five. Now, that second five, one of those spots to me was interesting because I like Kayla McBride, a player that, again, doesn't get a lot of credit for what she does, whether she was in Vegas, now in Minnesota as a scorer, can score in a multitude of different ways. That spot, when you look at that second five, when you looked at the all WNBA team, whether that was DeWanna Bonner, whether that was Kelsey Mitchell, those two players also could have had arguments as well about being amongst that top 10 players in the W. So again, whenever there's a conversation, whenever there's an opportunity for disagreement and healthy disagreement and people can back up their points, I'm all for.
No question, no question. Um, First game we had at Atlanta on the road at the Liberty. The Liberty, of course, took care of business. 83-69 victory. Uh, Smart move by Sandy starting Fibich over Sloot. Made I think that's what she calls her jumbo package.
Right.
Um, it show and prove they came out blistering hot. I mean, and kind of Atlanta didn't stand a chance uh, to show for it in the first half. I mean, literally down 18, end up coming back making it look interesting. But the 14-point victory does not really show what damage the Liberty done during this game. Almost every starter finished in double figures. I think Jonquel Jones had 9.7 rebounds. Stewie with a 20 and 10 game, 20 points, 11 rebounds. Leona Fires, she finished with 21 points. Definitely, made an impact in the earlier parts of the game. And then Sabrina, she had 17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And Lainey Hamilton capped it off with 10 points, 5 assists. But I saw a lot of interesting things with Ryan Howard. She if she can package these type of games, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. That's a lot of work from her on both ends of the court. Didn't shoot it particularly well. She was 5 for 14, but just trying to put together floor games like that could help them go a long way in the future. I don't know if that future is going to be in game two because I'm kind of thinking that the Liberty is going to be ready to take them out. But another bright spot that I see for them is Naz Hillman. She was a more than capable scorer in college, and watching her trying to find her way in the WNBA has been rather unique, especially for the Dream, who another team has had a stockpile of bigs and not really
Right.
knowing what they want to do with it, especially when you're getting productive play out of Tina Charles late in their career.
Right.
It's kind of been a roadblock, so to speak, in Atlanta, trying to figure out who's going to be the 4 and 5 combo. But I like how she's been playing. Tina Charles finished with 12 points, 7 rebounds. And Alicia Gray, she had 9 points, only shot 3 for 9, which is it's hard for them to win like that. And then Jordan Canada struggled. She finished with 3 points, and that 3 points came like deep into the second half. She didn't score or do anything at all in the first half. So, just your thoughts on the Dream and the Liberty.
When you were talking about Leona Fevich, I think the things that people should mention, and you got to give yourself a victory lap for this, man, because you talked about her in show one. Y'all need to go back and watch it too. So you can get some of this real game that's being given out about the W. The way that she plays passing lanes and all of those different things. Again, when you are a championship team, having a player that comes in and you don't have to coach them to play winning basketball, that is a big, big advantage. So she's playing passing lanes, getting steals, can handle the ball in transition, hit threes, plus 25 and plus minus. Her ability to be able to handle the ball, it takes a lot of pressure off of Sloot. It takes a lot of pressure off of Sabrina as well, being able to initiate the offense from the front court and allow them to get in transition and spot up and hit open shots. So that's a big, big deal. I think the other thing for me as it relates to Atlanta, we talked about Ryan Howard last in our first episode. She has to be more consistent and has to have a real, real impact on the game if Atlanta wants to have a shot. The other thing that New York doesn't get credit for when they have all that offensive firepower is what they did defensively. You talked about Jordan Canada. You can't have 5 turnovers from your point guard and expect to win. So Canada has to take care of the ball better. Then, from a scoring perspective, Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray have to be more consistent shooting the ball. Guys, one of the things about Ryan is sometimes she'll rely too much on that three. She was 2 for 7. And with her first step, her athleticism, she needs to put some pressure on the Liberty, get to the rim, get some easy looks, then get out to that 3 point line.
Agreed. Now, game two of Atlanta and New York will be Tuesday, 7:30 on ESPN. Now, getting to our next game, we had a Fever in Connecticut, which to me personally, now of course you look at the final score, but if you didn't watch the game, it tells a different story. The game was rather close throughout. Connecticut didn't break away towards late in the second half, in the fourth quarter. And Indy just didn't shoot it particularly well. They only shot 40% from the field, and then it was 21% from three, and definitely not going to get it done. But that was the bright spot that I saw in this, is that they didn't play particularly well. Still it was manageable going into the fourth quarter. Now, that's not to discredit Connecticut at all. Connecticut came out with a game plan. They put DeWanna Bonner on Caitlin Clark, which is, if you know the game, when you make an adjustment like that, if Caitlin Clark shoots terrible or performs terrible, you'll give all credit to the defense. But Caitlin Clark was 2 for 13 from three. She settled for the three a lot. Now, I say settled generously because she was open and she just didn't hit them. But it's going to look like good defense. If you didn't watch the game and you're only hearing the buzz lines of the DeWanna Bonner playing defense and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that Bonner didn't make an impact, because she definitely did when she tried to attack the rim and things of that nature. But a lot of the threes she missed was wide open. She was 4 for 17 overall. That meant, 13 of the 17 shots was threes. And I don't feel like that's going to be in their best interest to try to, steal this series if you're only going to settle for the three, especially if it's not going in. Kelsey Mitchell was 2 for 10 from three. So combined, 4 for 23 from three. That's in the nature of the game of what we call settling. Like, I mean, you can take 23 threes any day of the week. They thrive off driving kicks and getting into the lane. Her Clark throwing a lot of little dump passes here to Boston and Smith and doing things like that. But Connecticut, hats off to Connecticut. They played really well. Alyssa Thomas dropped a triple-double, 12 points, 10 rebounds, 13 assists. Can't ask for more than that. It was a good sign early. Bonner, when she's scoring early, I think that sets the table for them because it opens up everybody else's game. She finished with 22 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, which is a full day's work for her. But I say the best for last. I throw Carrington there. Carrington had 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. But Money Mabry, I mean, 27 points off the bench in a playoff game. Of course, it's a record. You know, she asked for a better situation, and boy, did she receive one. I'm sure Stephanie White couldn't be more thrilled to have that type of firepower, as we mentioned before, of some of the offensive woes that they've had when they get to the next level of the playoffs. So I think this is definitely a bright spot for Connecticut. But like I said, the Fever do have a reason kind of to hold their head a little bit is because they just got to make shots, take care of the basketball because Connecticut definitely would look to get out in transition. But it was a point in the game where when Mabry got hot, it was pretty much a ball game. And they took the 1-0 lead. But just give me your thoughts, hey, Willie, on that series.
A lot of the things that we talked about in episode one, I'm saying it again, shameless plug. So, a lot of the things that we talked about and a lot of the things that you just talked about, that's what transpired in that game one. I think when you saw Caitlin take that jump as a player, it's not a coincidence that the other players took a jump. We're talking about Lexi Hall. We're talking about Kelsey Mitchell also. And people will look at that and they'll say, well, that's all due to Caitlin. That's why Caitlin took a jump because of her, and the other players took a jump because of Caitlin as well. And they actually go hand in hand. When Kelsey's able to handle the ball and get in transition, you know what Caitlin can do? Spot up, and she doesn't have to always manufacture and generate her own shot. Because if there's an area where Caitlin can struggle, where you can make it somewhat difficult for her, is if you have the opportunity to pressure her and you make all of her offense dependent upon her creating it. So when those others have to be honored as threats and they're able to create as well, it really opens this up for Caitlin so you can get that variety of her operating as the facilitator, generator, manufacturer of offense, fabricator of offense, and she can also play off of other people and do that in an efficient way. And you didn't see a whole lot of that against Connecticut in game one. Other thing I'll say as well, I know this is a matchup of styles. Like we said in the episode one, styles make fights. You got the best team in the league from a defensive rating standpoint against the third best in the team in the league from an offensive rating standpoint. In Indiana, Connecticut is at the top defensively. The thing that we got to see out of Indiana is they got to play better defense because what you want to do is get some stops so you can get out in transition if you're Indiana and stop Connecticut from setting their defense. So when you have to operate against that stacked defense and Connecticut can plus up for those Caitlin Clark drives, those Kelsey Mitchell drives, because from the perimeter, they're the only two that are really generating offense. So when you have that opportunity for Connecticut to take that away and you can plus up defensively, it makes it really hard for Indiana. So Indiana's got to get some stops so they can get out in transition and play their game.
No, you're right. And something that I want to ask you, because I've seen it on a few of my posts, you know, if the Fever are to get eliminated in 2 games, a lot of people think that's going to take the shine uh, off the WNBA. Of course, you know, I'm going to be tuned in regardless, so it doesn't really matter to me. But, I do enjoy watching her and the Fever play. But what are your thoughts if the Fever are to get eliminated? What does that look like for the rest of the WNBA postseason?
Um, will there be people that probably won't watch? Probably. I think there'll be some, but I think the people that have watched because they're tuning in to follow Indiana and to follow Caitlin, I think a lot of them, if they're being honest, have discovered if they're new to the game, they discovered that these women can go. They can go. So there are other players that can play. There are other players that you should pay attention to as the season continue the postseason continues to progress. So will some of them drop off? Probably so. Will a lot of them continue to watch? I think they will. And some of them, if I'm being honest, man, they're going to watch because they're enrolled in Troll King University. So, so they're going to want to watch to see what you have to say, and so they can troll because Caitlin in Indiana is not there. So either way, if they're there because of those reasons, that's great too. But you'll continue to watch.
Yeah, somebody's biggest fan will be your biggest hater. So all right,
Okay.
that's what. Now this series will continue. Game two will be Wednesday, 7:30 on ESPN, and a lot of people will be hoping that Connecticut can seal the deal, and then the other half of the globe will be hoping that Caitlin Clark can keep this sensational rookie year legacy going. So we'll,
OG, can you imagine a game three in Indiana?
I, I definitely can. I want to see it.
Me too.
I think everybody will want to see it except for the people who don't like Caitlin Clark.
Right.
But other than that, I think it'll be great for the game. But hey, they're gonna have to earn it at the end of
Yeah,
the
they
day.
are.
If
You know,
it,
Connecticut doesn't want to see that, man. That's going to be a scene.
That'll be another question for Dejanay Carrington, what she feels about the Fever fans at the end of the day.
Facts.
Jumping right to the Phoenix in Minnesota. Uh, Minnesota came out dominant at the beginning of this game. The Mercury kind of looked the way that they've been looking rather all season. They gave up over 30 points in the first quarter. It was 32-19
Right.
after the first quarter. It was getting to a point where I thought they were just going to run away with it. But as I mentioned before, you have the majority of 4 out of the 5 starters for Phoenix have a WNBA championship. So I knew they wasn't going to lay down if they can help it at all. Minnesota ended up winning the game 102-95. Nafisa Collier had 20 points in the first half, finished with 38 points. And my goodness, she was looking unstoppable from anywhere. 38 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, shot 11 for 19, 3 for 5, 13 for 14 from the free throw line. Now she does get to the free throw line a lot. I mean, and I think she's really good at it. She uses her body in such a finesse type way that draws a lot of contact. Some people would disagree from time to time, but that's why I say she's so sneaky and crafty at what she does, especially around the rim. Kayla McBuckets, she
Man.
finished with 20 points, 5 for 11 from the field, 3 for 7 from the three, 7 for 7 from the free throw line. I think it's huge for them to get that type of output from her to get to where they want to go. Maisha Hines Allen, somebody that I failed to mention
Big
in
pickup.
the first
Big
in the
pickup.
first episode, but I think her production off the bench, and she's an ultimate two-way player.
No
Finished with
question.
10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Always efficient. She was 4 for 6 and 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Very, like you said, very good pickup for them. Uh, Hop on over to Phoenix. What rather kept them in the game is a big explosive, offensive explosive output from Natasha Cloud. She finished with 33, which is well above what we're used to seeing from her. But 6 rebounds, 10 assists. She was 4 for 8 from the three. Tarasi had 21 points, shot 5 for 10 from the three. And once you get to Kalia Copper, she had 16, but after that, that was it. 95 points is enough to win a game. The defensive end is where they were lacking, and now they find themselves down 0-1. Give me your thoughts on that game one.
To your point again, shout out to Maisha Hines Allen. Again, you talk about a player that plays the game from the head up. She plays bigger than what she is, and she's really, really smart, really efficient. Man, that was a big pickup. And you're right. She definitely deserves mention. The thing that was interesting about this game, and I love this, we are both point guards. One of the things that your boy says here is hashtag point guard life. So watching Tasha Cloud do her thing was telling. But if you watch this game, assists tell the story. Again, this is you and I talking as point guards, and we got to put this out there. This is dropping technology on the track. Minnesota had 30 assists during this game. Even when you got Nafisa Collier Fee going for 38, they had 30 assists. That means that Fee was getting hers within the flow of the offense, that economy of movement. That means that they're not working as hard to get points Offense isn't coming to a screeching halt, which allows it for you to play defense easier when that ball is sticking. Phoenix, as they started to come back, Phoenix had 19 assists. T Cloud had 10 of them. Of course, you expect your point guard to have most of them. But if you have 19 assists, what's happening is there's a lot of one on one. That means that you're working really, really hard to get points. And it just so happened when Phoenix started to make their runs, a lot of that points and a lot of that production as they were coming back was off of one on one shot fabrication. And if you're going to play Minnesota, there's no way you're going to beat them doing that if you're Phoenix. So Phoenix has to really move the ball around a little bit more. Kalia Copper has probably got to come to the party a little bit earlier because she had her historic things. I mean, her histrionics that she does, her heroic acts. Let me say it that way, not histrionics. Her historic acts that she comes late on, which she does a lot, but she's got to come to the party earlier, and Phoenix has to move the ball around to get easier looks against that Minnesota D.
And yeah, I definitely agree with you. If I was Minnesota, I expect them to do their work early and get this over with. I wouldn't want to be the Lynx and have to come back and go to head to Phoenix to try to close this one out. So I think they'll try to do their work early. This game too is Wednesday, 9:30 on ESPN. So we'll be tuned in to that and give you our thoughts about that. Now, this next game was the late game at 10 p.m. The Aces and the Seattle Storm. I struggled the second half of this series. Definitely, um, it was a good game, but I struggled the second half, especially in the West Coast games. They get the best of me. But the Aces take the game,
I'm
78.
hating on the West, OG.
Definitely not. But man, it was a struggle. Plus, I've been under the weather too, so it was a struggle. But the Aces, they take home the win, 78 to 67. Asia Wilson once again threw on her cape in the second half, particularly the third quarter. She had 15 points in that third quarter. She finished the game with 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 blocks. Definitely wheeled through. Chelsea Gray, 16 points, 7 assists. Jackie Young hit double figures with 12 points, seven rebounds. Kelsey Plum didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but you had Alicia Clark, 7 points off the bench, and then Tiffany Hayes, 20 points, which, as you mentioned earlier, about being a huge pickup for them. Definitely kind of saved the day for them a little bit, and that's the whole part of being a team sport. I kind of get annoyed when people talking about certain players carrying a team, even if it's not the highlighted player. But that's the big part about team sports. Like it's everybody, and she definitely had a major impact on the game. 20 points, 4 rebounds, 5 steals. Shot 8 for 12 from the field, 2 for 3 from the 3-point line. Like I said, it was amazing to me in this game. Fourth quarter, Aces scored four. They completely shut down the Storm. They didn't have a answer for anything, and it was kind of tough. They still don't have Ezzy. I think Seattle, they don't win without her.
No, can't
Especially
stand.
in this series, I wouldn't see them winning without her. Gabby Williams, 14 points, 8 rebounds. NECA, she finished with 13 points, 10 rebounds. And then Skylar Diggins Smith, 16 points, 8 assists. And then you got 10 points off the bench from Jordan Horston, I thought was she's kind of been lost in the sauce ever since they picked up Gabby Williams. Her minutes kind of decreased and her role kind of decreased a little bit. But once again, Aces find a way to pull out a win. And that's what they've been doing consistently, whether it's a slow start or inconsistent play throughout the game, they find a way to close it out, and they did that. Let me know what's your thoughts on that game one.
Yeah, we talked about this again. Go watch episode 1. Y'all need to keep walking with us on this journey. We talked about how when you look at the aces, I know one of the things I said was it's great that Tiffany Hayes did what she did. Is obviously, of course, the point guard with Chelsea Gray. We love point guards on this show. Y'all know this. Doing what she did because what happened for the aces was as great as it is to be a spectator and watch Asia Wilson be so dominant when she's scoring the ball. And I was in attendance in Dallas in one of those 40-point games. What that means is when she's giving you 40, that means nobody else is doing anything. So if the Aces want to win, and we talked about this, they want to win and three-peat. I don't know if they necessarily get there with Asia having those 40-point games and everybody else is single digits and scoring and those things. So to see that balance scoring, however they get it, that's the formula for success for the Aces. As it relates to Seattle, again, to your point, there's no way, in my estimation, that Seattle wins this series without the player that was second in the league in blocks to Asia in Ezi Magbagor, one of our premier defenders in the league, also really spreading her wings offensively. You and I would text about when she get the ball on the wing, 1-2 dribbles and dribble past someone, finish, turn around Jays. All of those things are part of her game, and it continues to evolve. She forces Asia to play defense, and that's one of the things you have to do to a great player that you're not going to stop offensively. Other thing we got to mention as well, Jewel Lloyd has to be healthy if Seattle wants to win. They can't get 9-point outputs from her and want to beat the best player in the world, especially when you're getting double digit all around scoring from Gabby Williams. I called that out in episode 1. She's got to score and be aggressive if Seattle wants to win, and you got that. So Jules got to show up and be the gold mamba who she is. She's got to do that. And hopefully Ezi Magbagor with that concussion can join the party, be healthy, and be her normal self. If she can't, this thing's over in 2.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder about Joel Lloyd. Is she 100%?
Right,
Like
exactly.
that's the biggest thing. Like I mean, those not typical playoff numbers for her. That's not nothing. Nothing was typical about her in that game. Uh,
Right.
just like I said, I hope she's 100, and I hope that Ezzy can somehow, of course, no rush. When you have to go through a process
No
of
question.
healing, but you definitely would like to see her out there. I think this the type team that they got right now. It's either you're trying to maximize everything this year, especially with the late pickup of Gabby Williams. You definitely don't want to miss this window of opportunity because sometimes when that window closes, it closes, and Seattle can definitely be hitting that wall, so to speak. This series continue game 2, be Tuesday 9:30 at ESPN. We'll definitely be tapped into that and give you our thoughts following that game. Just to tie up some loose ends, Sloop passed Sue Bird for most playoff assists. And it was just happened to be that Sue Bird was in the building. Joyce, she's
In the
typically
building.
she's typically in the building at Liberty games and Storm games. But hats off to Sloop for doing that. Another thing that came off in game ones on Sunday. That in the Connecticut and Indiana game, Dejanay Carrington had I don't want to say an altercation or anything like that with Caitlin. It looked like she made a play on the ball, ended up poking her in the eye. And I think if they hadn't had any past or anything like that, then it probably wouldn't have been as heightened. But you have certain players, man, they can do things intentional and make it look unintentional. And then you have certain players that sometimes just clumsy. Don't know really what it looked like a basketball play to me. But of course, throughout this season, it seems like it's been a lot of vendettas against Caitlin Clark, although it still fits into the realm of the WNBA being a physical league and an ultra competitive league. But just, your thoughts on those things that I mentioned: Sloop, the assists, and then the Indiana quote unquote altercation.
Man, again, hashtag point guard life. So you watch Courtney Vandersloot and what she's been able to do in terms of making the game easier for everybody else, and that's her natural disposition. Man, it's great to see. And again, of course, as you said, it's even better to see when the great Sue Bird is in the house to witness it. So shout out to Sloop for doing that. As it relates to this Dejanay Carrington and Caitlin Clark thing, I think when you know what it's like to make it a football reference. And we can say make it a basketball reference as well. I was a defensive guy also, so I put a lot of pressure on the ball. You know what that does when you put a lot of pressure on the ball? It's a lot of contact. Sometimes you get burned when you put a lot of pressure on the ball. And you find yourself in these sort of situations where you are the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. When you play that uptight, up close, intense sort of style, sometimes you're going to dish out the punishment. Sometimes you're going to be the recipient of that punishment. So at this particular time, it was Dejanay was dishing out the punishment, but later in the game, Caitlin gave DC a shot herself.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, so I think, when you look at this, both of these players play with a lot of contact. Caitlin plays with a lot of contact as well. So we've seen points where, again, sometimes she was the hammer, sometimes she was the nail. When you play like that, it's just going to happen with a lot more consistency and regularity. To me, man, it's much ado about nothing. But again, you can't be one of those people that complain about, I don't watch the NBA because all these players are friends. They're not physical enough. And then when you get in the W, you complain about the physicality and the fact that these women aren't having tea parties on the floor.
No, that is correct because that's something that we talk. A lot of people talk about in the modern day age of pro sports is you rarely have your villains and your good good versus bad or good versus or however you want to put it to make it a real rivalry. When people tend to look like buddies and friends, then we don't take it serious. So in this case, in the W, they never look like friends. Like they never. It always looks personal, and that's part of it for me. I'm not saying do things outside of the lines or anything like that, or I'm definitely not promoting dirty play or anything like that. But if you've ever played at anything at a high level or done anything at a high level, I don't care if it's the corporate world or anything. If you want to win, it's not always going to look pretty, and you're not always going to be nice doing it.
Facts.
So uh, no, I'm really that it makes me really want to be more intrigued to that series just a little bit, just because of the value to it, and really to see as a part two. Caitlin smashed a lot of records in her rookie year, and the hardest sometimes is the follow up. And
Right.
definitely
Right.
for a lot of people like myself that are fans of Caitlin Clark, all the records and all the acclaim looks good, but I know deep down inside she wants to fucking win.
No question.
Like, and
No
if
question.
she doesn't win or doesn't start making put a stamp on her career as being a winner, she could care. I'm sure she could care less about the accolades. Those things look pretty, sound good, but what you can't attach a great player in the WNBA to not winning.
No, you
And
cannot.
now, of course, we're talking about year one. So hear me out, people. I'm not throwing away the rest of her career or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, as time goes on, winning is going to become a thing because it's only so many times you can break records. Like it's only to where it's really going to be impactful or mean something. At the end of the day,
Exactly.
you want to be playing the last game and you want to be the winner of the last game. And I think that's going to start being a more focal point for me. Forget all the records, forget everything. Who is winning the last game and who is holding up the WNBA trophy?
Real talk. Real talk. Hashtag RTO. Real talk only.
Yeah.
What did Mike say? What did Mike say, OG? You don't want to play that way? Then don't play that way. Right?
Right, right, right.
Right?
Nah, no doubt.
So, yeah, so yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly.
Yeah, so that's something just that I'm gonna continue to focus on, man. As we wrap up this episode, that any last thoughts or anything you want to get off your chest, hey Willie?
Man, you know what? I'm taking Troll King Brandon 101 class 1 and not mentioning this. I know better. So you all can follow me at A. Williams Sports. Nothing creative. A. Williams Sports. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to tap in with my brother to get real talk about the W, not narrative based, but fact based. So hopefully we all continue to entertain you all and you learn a little bit more about the game too, because my brother and myself, we try to give you some unique takes.
No, I appreciate you, and definitely I want to, thank everybody. Everybody who follows my page, everybody who's soon to tap into the show, tap into the YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you want to be a guest on the show, just make sure you subscribe to the channel. Comment on my posts. Let me know you want to be on, and we can make that happen. I'm not against that. I definitely I want the participation. Definitely, I want to give some more shine to the people who even help make the page and my following me more than what it actually does. So, just subscribe to the channel, like it, share it. I'm always open to feedback, and give me your honest thoughts and let me know what you like about the content. Let me know what you don't like, and we can make good conversation of it. But just stay tapped in, and if you don't remember anything, remember this. I'm here to laugh, show love, promote, talk sports, movies, joke, and troll. Catch you on the next episode.